Okay, starting game one, we have Nerd Justin and Little Tebby, both from David City. They're both actually playing for their first time this year. They're both new to the game. Nerd Justin is in 8th grade, and Paul Tebby from the other side is, I think, 8th grade as well. I should have thought about that. I think Nerd Justin went 14-0 in his season, and Little Tebby went 13-1, I believe. They're both playing the Terran race. Those are the humans in Starcraft 2. Nothing really happens in this first minute here. Start off, both teams are making their supply depots. This is always the first building a Terran builds because it unlocks everything else. Supply depots are used to raise your supply, which increases the amount of available units you can have on the field. Right now their supply is 23, and each worker or army unit will take up a certain amount of that supply, so they need to keep building these to keep making more units. You'll see the same thing coming out of both sides. Very standard for Terran to do the same thing for the first minute and a half. They're making a barracks now, which is where you get your base level units from. You'll get things like Marines, Reapers, and Marauders out of here. They're small and they're called bio units because compared to bio, there's mech, which are like army tanks and big siege walkers and stuff. These are the lighter units. They'll make up the bulk of the army here. Right here, we're making an engineering bay. This is where they research upgrades for their units. In an engineering bay, you'll have upgrades for bio units, weapons, and armor. Each upgrade will add about 1 or 2 damage or 1 or 2 damage reduction to a unit. You generally want to try to be even or up in upgrades against your opponent to make fights work out in your favor, unless you're going for some cheesy strats where you're just rushing out units. Both Terran players are rushing out some gas. So minerals here, the blue stuff, is what's needed for economy and basically everything to go into a StarCraft game. Whereas gas, this Vespene gas out of the refinery, is used for a lot of technological stuff. That's how you research upgrades, that's how you get your more advanced units. For example, these Marines here, they're small, so they only cost minerals. They're very cheap. But for bigger things, like siege tanks that'll come out of this factory, you're going to want a lot of Vespene gas really early if you're going for an aggressive push, like what we see coming out of this side, I think. Justin here, coming out with his second command center already. Building a command center this early will give him a big eco boost for his economy, and he'll just be able to make a lot more sooner than Tebby over here. That's not necessarily a bad thing for Tebby. A lot of Terran players will just play off of one base and use the money they would spend on another command center to just make a bigger army at home and all in the opponent before they can get their economy stabilized and more units out. Not a lot of action coming out of either side yet. They're just building up, preparing an army, and we get to see some glimpses of what they're building up to in the future here. Out of Tebby here, we have 2 factories coming out. This one's still under construction. I've seen in the season he likes to play with a lot of army tanks, and this is what comes out of the factory. You get a tech lab here to be able to build a tank. As compared to over here, we have 1 factory and a starport coming out of here. Starports can build medivacs, which can heal your biological units, like Marines or Marauders, which are just pretty much just a fat and heavy Marine. They're extra tanky. Here, Paul's playing for some defense here with a tank sieged up. When you siege up a tank, it sprouts legs and sits in one spot, but its rockets explode now, and you can see its little ring of area. We've hit the 4-minute mark. In this series here, this little circuit we've got going on, so there's a gentleman's agreement to not cross the middle of the map before 4 minutes. It pretty much just guarantees there'll be at least a middle and maybe a late game, so that nobody just dies out to really cheesy strats that can be over in 4 minutes, because that's not a very entertaining game. But since we're across that 4-minute mark, both teams, or both sides, can just cross the map freely and start harassing the others. Right, now let's look at the army supply here. Army is a little bit in Justin's favor, but I do believe Tebby has more tanks, so he does have the defensive power that Justin doesn't right now. So if Justin were to attack now or soon, he might be at a disadvantage here. Workers actually are very in favor of Justin because he got the second base up and running really quickly. So the longer Justin can drag this game out, the more and more he'll be ahead, unless Tebby starts advancing this base and even maybe even having to get a second base to catch up with the slack from the lack of an economy here. Pumping out more barracks on the side of Justin here. He'll be able to make even more Marines here. You can see he already has plenty. And we see this medevac here. Medevacs can they can load up a ton of Marines in here. They can load up 8 Marines and fly them across the map and drop them wherever they please. This is a popular harassment tech. So as you'll see, Paul is going out for his attack across the map, but at the same time, Justin here is going for some harass. He's going to drop these Marines right here in his mining line and do a ton of damage if Paul can't get back in time, or maybe even force Paul to come home, giving Justin an even bigger advantage. This is a command center. He's flying out to start his third base, and so now he'll be like another base ahead of Paul, but we'll see how this attack goes. This attack might just end the game here. Meanwhile, we have this harassment, which Paul can't really do anything to prevent this. Main attack here. No real response to this. Playing it safe. Justin does know he's here right now, but he doesn't want to move Marines into these sieged up tank lines. When they're sieged like this, they do an explosion area attack, just like you saw here. Just a few tanks can kill dozens of Marines if they're just blindly walking through the tank line. Now that these tanks are unsieged, they can only shoot one target at a time, so it's the perfect time for Justin to walk in and do it. The medevacs will heal the Marines. Justin picks up and drops the Marines to save their life. He pulls them back, doing huge damage to Tebby's tank line. He had 5, now he only has 3. While Justin's drop is doing huge damage back here, Paul actually only has 9 workers total. 8 workers now. He just keeps getting picked off by Justin here. I think this could end the game for Justin. Paul does defend it with a couple siege tanks, but he has almost no economy and only 1,000 minerals banked up. If Paul can't end the game with this fight here, which is not looking like it, he might just lose the game. Siege tanks here have a minimum firing range. That means if something is right on top of them, this tank can't see it and shoot it. And that's what's happening here. They're just sitting on the tank, lighting it up, and the only thing that can shoot is these small Marines right here. He pulls back and is ready for the fight again. He's defending here. This looks like the last of what Tebby will be able to push onto the field. Justin, during the fight, neglected to macro up, as they say. He needs to put more workers on his new base, but considering the amount of damage he did to Tebby's economy, I don't think it's that important. He's out-mining his enemy by like 4 times now, with 7 times as much gas coming out. There's a worker there emoting. It's kind of fun. Justin's going out on the attack. He knows his opponent's in a weak spot, but the thing about Terran is even if you're way behind, you can siege up your tanks in your main base, and you can do quite a bit of defending because they just can't walk through it. We'll see what Justin does here to react to what his opponent is playing. It just looks like he's waiting for the perfect time to strike. He's doing these scans. You can scan from your main base building here, and what it does is, so you can pick an area of the map and it just gives you free vision of that, just like that. He can see what's going on up here even though he has no units. So he now is aware of everything that Tebby has. Now Justin is just clearing out the natural, the second base. It's called a natural because that's where you naturally expand to. He cleared the command center, so now all of these SCVs, the mining units, have nowhere to go. They're lost and can't mine anything. Tebby does have enough minerals to make a new command center, but under the pressure of Justin's army right outside, there's not much he can do with this situation. Justin pulls another medevac full of 3 Marauders and 2 Marines around to the sides. I think he's scouting to see if Tebby has a secret base anywhere. We can of course see that he has none, but it would be a good strategy for Tebby to try to hide a base and kind of hide from this brute of an attack before he can rebuild. Justin instead decides to drop another army into the main base of Tebby here, cleaning out the last of his workers. Justin's army succeeds in taking out almost all of the SCP, now all of the workers of Tebby, but his army is coming to clean up the mess. We'll see if they can clean up Justin's units here. Looks like they do clear it all out. And now Justin just sends all of these units in on a suicide rush to clear Tebby's tanks. It works, and Justin wins the first game. Okay, going into the second game here, we saw the first game end with Justin taking victory from a pretty decisive attack from harassment in Tebby's main base while Tebby was out on an attack. He got Tebby in a point of weakness and he exploited it and took the win from that. We'll see if Tebby can defend his honor and take back the second game, and we can go to the third one. Same thing starting out. Workers mining. Not a whole lot to talk about for the first minute. They're probably going to use the same build, maybe with slight variations, but nothing that will change in the first 2 minutes here.
Okay, and then blue, these are known as minerals. So in Starcraft, you start out with just minerals, and then eventually you start taking a little bit of gas, a little more gas.
Looks like Tebby's. Oh no, never mind. I was gonna say Tebby's supply depot looked like it started a bit earlier than Justin's, which would boost his whole build by several seconds. But they actually appear to be dead even. Justin with a little boost in supply. You can see that this is a building that makes workers. This blue line shows the progress between workers. And you don't want a ton queued up because it ties up your money, but you want to make sure it's producing 100% constantly. See, it started making a new worker immediately. Sometimes a player will make a mistake where they will finish a unit and then fail to re-queue a unit. Maybe they're looking at their barracks or looking at the other side of the map, and they fail to re-queue a unit, which wastes just a little bit of time. They lose a little bit of mining. So you want to keep that as tight as possible. Both players doing a really good job of that, though. Looks like Justin here is going to start his second base pretty early again, just like last game. Tebby here, just like last game again, he's not getting that second base early. He's instead opting for pretty fast technology. You can see he's getting the engineering bay, but trying to rush out some early upgrades to make his Marines just that much stronger against Justin's Marines. This probably would have played out well for him last time had he not gotten unlucky with the attack coming in right as he was storming Justin's base. We'll see if Justin can pull off that timing again, or if Paul can fend off that drop a little bit better. Maybe we could see some missile turrets in the mineral lines here. Maybe we could have Tebby scare off any flying reinforcements that way, or even just leaving a siege tank or some Marines back here would probably be enough to scare off any drops. I wonder if Tebby will do that. We'll have to see. Justin here opting to build a Reaper here. So Reapers are like Marines. They do a little bit less damage, but what makes them cool is they have jetpacks. We'll see one pop out here in a moment. They have jetpacks. They're really fast, and they can actually. There's a cliff right here that goes down to a lower level, and their jetpacks allow them to just jump up cliffs, just straight into the enemy's mineral line. So he won't even have to go with the medevac to drop his Marines in there. He'll just fly these Reapers straight in. We'll see. This is what they look like here. They've got 2 little guns and then a jetpack. He can't cross the map before 4 minutes quite yet, but I bet he'll walk right up next to it. And so he can get as early of a timing as possible here. Yeah, he's holding this is called a Zelnaga tower. If a combat unit is inside this little square around it, it provides him vision here of the circle. So he can see anything that moves in and out of this circle, which gives him a little bit of a vision advantage. Not too purposeful, doesn't really have a meaning before this 4-minute mark, because nothing will be crossing over here anyway. And we can see he returns at home, probably to meet up with some more Reapers he might be making. Maybe not. Let's see Tebby here. He's just pulling a worker across the map. He might be holding this Zelnaga tower, and he's going to be met with his Reaper. Does he get it away? Oh, the Reaper chases, and the Reaper backs off. He gets to keep his worker. Tebby didn't get any scouting out of this. Besides, he saw a Reaper, so now he might be preparing for a little Reaper push into his main base. Looks like Justin was trying to fake that, maybe. He only made 1 Reaper. When you're expecting a Reaper all in, you could prepare for 5 to do a push right here. 5 Reapers into this mineral line to take out quite a few workers before these Marines notice. He does have his Marines pulled back quite a bit, so he would be able to catch it early. You can see he did make these missile turrets. He is prepared for a medevac to fly in and drop some units in. Time will tell if Justin takes that approach again. Since Justin used it last game, he might be expecting Tebby to have prepared with turrets, and he might just abandon the strategy altogether, taking the win that he already forced Tebby to invest 200 minerals into missile turrets that he won't be using now. Tebby looks like he's trying to hide a secret base on this side of the map, but Justin scouts it with his Reaper. This is very lucky for Justin to have seen this. but it was suspicious that Tebby didn't have a second base here yet, so Justin knew to either look for an all-in or look for a secret base on the map. Losing the secret base for Justin will be a big win for Justin. It'll put him way in the lead because this base cost Tebby 400 minerals to make, and he didn't get it out. That's a wasted 400 minerals. What you can do here is you could have canceled the building and get like 50% of the cost back, but it doesn't look like Paul decided to do that. Paul is moving out on the map with his army. Justin is moving out with a medevac full of 8 Marines. He's going to try and do the same harass technique again, this time with Tebby defending with 3 turrets in the mineral line. This medevac is going to have a hard time getting in and getting out. The best case scenario here is he turns around immediately, but drops the Marines right here and walks here. The Marines will have a hard time getting out right here, and Tebby might even be able to snipe this medevac out of the air so it can't get back. But Tebby's sitting in the middle of the map preparing for an attack, so he can't actually do anything to prevent this, except he did have some lucky tanks coming out at the right time to destroy Justin's army as it came out of the medevac. Looks like, yeah, no Marines got picked up with the medevac. It's coming home with half health. This looks like an overall win on this trade for Tebby here. We've got a bit of an attack going on here. Tebby attacking with about 8-ish Marines and 2 tanks, just shelling these supply depots. Justin getting a sneaky third base. I wonder if Tebby saw this. Ooh. Tebby looks like he did see the third base coming out and try to maneuver his units to come make it stop landing, but he accidentally walked through a siege tank line and lost almost all his Marines and another tank. Tebby has some tanks at home. Their army supply is actually quite even, with Tebby only having a Marine and a tank over here. He's gotta either run that away or get the best thing he can here. It looks like he does take a handful of Marines with him, so that tank did not go down without a fight. It brought some Marines, evening out the army supply difference, but it might not be enough. Tebby's still only on 1 base here. You can see N3RDJustin, this is his mineral count here. He's got 800 minerals and climbing. He's getting 2,300 whereabouts per minute of minerals, where Tebby is only getting about 1,000. You can see this because Tebby has 1 base, and Justin has 2 running bases, and this third base that is brand new, is hardly mining yet. So Justin is up in economy, he's up in workers, and he's up in army. But Tebby does have this weapons upgrade. It looks like Justin did not opt for an engineering. He's got 2 engineering bays right now, actually, as I'm saying that. He's a little behind in upgrades, but he just drops 2 engineering bays so he can pump them out twice as fast. So he'll have a complete advantage over Tebby's units here. We'll look at Tebby's side of the map here. He's defending. Justin's going for a little bit of harass. Nothing big. Tebby should be able to hold this off. I don't think Justin's going to push in on it. He's got a sensor tower here, Tebby does. What this does is, I can't look at just Tebby's point of view, but basically it's got a big radius around it, and it'll provide a red dot on wherever an enemy unit is. You won't be able to see what unit is, but you will be able to see movement. So like these 5 medevacs that flew through here, he would have known and been able to prepare. He did prepare by sieging up his tanks here, but as it was like 3 tanks versus 2, it'll be pretty close. These ones were sieged up first, so they will have the advantage. These 5 medevacs come in and drop. Looks like they didn't actually drop anything. They were just here for support on the tanks and didn't quite pick them up fast enough. Tebby reinforcing his position with some more tanks. He's got 5 down here and an SCV, a little worker unit here. The workers can repair all mechanical units. So these tanks, they're all full health, even though they did take some shelling from Justin's tanks. This SCV here can walk in and patch all these tanks up. Now they're full health. It only costs him about 25% of the tank's original cost to repair it back to full. So it's a very cost-effective way to attack. He's also, it looks like he's not, but you can also bring like 3 SCVs in maybe to follow the tank line in here. You can have the SCVs back, say he sieges his tanks up right here, the SCVs can sit right back here and walk forward to repair the tanks as needed. So the tanks will just have that bit more longevity compared to the opposing tanks. This is a very important part of the siege. You want a lot of damage over a long time, and you want to be able to repair your siege tanks as they're going. Tebby's going out for an attack. You see how he cleared some rocks so he can have a more direct path to the opponent's base. It looks like they might just pass each other without noticing. Oh no, Tebby did see back here. Tebby does see this tank. He's going to take a huge win here. All of Justin's units died, except for just a handful of units did get picked up really quickly by Justin. They are flying out.
Past halfway across the map.
Tebby here, now he's getting his second base. He's decided to get his economy back up after taking quite a bit of a win in a fight against Justin here. Let's see if he can siege up his tanks fast enough to maybe take out this army. So, looks like his tanks did all die here. Justin's gonna move forward. He does have some tanks, some army. He's still producing more. He's got this tank back here. If he sieges them up in this high ground here, Justin's tanks won't be able to see up there, but Tebby's tanks will be able to see down, providing some free shots unless Justin hits a scan up here. Then both units will have vision of each other. Justin preparing for an attack on Tebby's undeveloped base. Yeah. Looks like he's flying medevacs in, trying to get him close to the tanks to, again, get them in that minimum range. Looks like it works. Tebby's second base is going down here. Tebby does not... He does have two tanks. He can get some defense. We see these are Vikings here. Vikings are air-to-air combat units. That means they are in the air and they can only attack air units. Looks like he's going to try and snipe some medevacs with them. If Tebby tries to produce some medevacs to carry his units across the map, these Vikings can take him out real quickly. Justin just all-ins Tebby's base and wins the semifinals 2-0 against Little Tebby. Both players put up a good fight. Justin just got that little bit of an economy boost at the beginning and took a few lucky trades in the middle to get him his victory here.